reconciliation of the diverse views in the country and was acceptable to all parts of Nigeria, which is why they came out with a report that was agreeable by everyone. Now, we had the Ibadan rally. When we finished in Ibadan, we went to Yenagoa in Bayelsa, where the South-South hosted us. The South-South came out with a broad resolution on restructuring of the Federation. And every state in the South-South was represented. Every government in the South-South was represented. They passed a resolution and adopted it. From there, we moved on to Oka. In Oka, we had an assemblage of all traditional rulers in Igbo land, all presidents of town union, all our legislators. In fact, it was the deputy president of Senate and the speaker of Anambra House of Assembly who guided the proceedings. And motions were moved and adopted, seconded, and a vote was taken. And the entire Igbo nation supported the two conventions that had been held in Ibadan and in Yenagoa. And then we agreed to meet in Makurdi. Our plane was refused takeoff in Lagos. Makurdi airport was closed because of this movement to civilian passenger traffic, and has remained closed since then. And I listened to the loudspeaker say our leaders have been lethargic, they need to bring up the action. I don't know whether you want me to burn myself at the stake. I will not become a Jesus Christ who will be crucified for this. They laid traps for us on the road. We tried to go by road. We got security report that we were all going to be lynched and burnt and killed on the road. We had paid for our chartered aircrafts. We could not land in Makurdi. We spoke to Makurdi rally electronically. Since then, we have had meetings in Lagos, we've had in Abuja. Can you imagine old men like Chief Edwin Clark and Chief Ayo Adebanjo when they should be relaxing in their retirement? On one occasion, we went to address the National Assembly, and they gave me a 15-minute notice to speak on behalf of the movement. And I had just read out a press conference written by Yinka Odumaki and his committee. And my house was bombed directly after I read the press conference. And I said to Chief Edwin Clark, I said, look, sir, my house has just been bombed. And you want me to go to the National Assembly and speak again? He said to me, look, my son, why do you think that he was then 91? Why do you think that at 91 I should be involved in this? It is because I do not want my children to go through what we are going through today. Why do you think Chief Ayo Adebanjo should be involved in this? It is because every father wants to leave behind him a better society. I must say to you that it is not us, but you. I'm not preaching for war because I've been a soldier during the war. And I know that war is the last, it is a sharp-edged tool that supplies man's daily bread and becomes his weapon of destruction when man's Senate Council fails. We must say, lie here until they call you to arbitrate. The only way we can use the instrument of violence is when we have exhausted diplomacy. We are dealing with a very difficult adversary. And I like to say that what the current government represents is not the view of a majority of even the Muslim North or the Fulani North. Look, let's face it. Restructuring is in the interest of the North. Why do I say this? Look, the trending companies in the world today, the companies that do well in the world today are no longer the oil companies. My northern friends told me that we wanted restructuring because we do not want them to benefit from the oil of the South. And a lot of exploration was embarked upon in the North. I would have wished that they saw oil in the north so that nobody will think that it is because we have oil. That's far from the truth. Why do I say that? A bulk of the mineral resources of this country, a lot of it, diamond and gold, tin, come from the north. They are mined every day by expatriates and by local collaborators and not declared in our national revenue. Because of the sheer rule of force, we have shouted at Southern and Middle Belt Leadership Forum. We, even after visiting General Danjuma, listen to General Danjuma tell everybody to be ready for self-defense. What do you want us to do? Now, the North has the highest agricultural endowment in Nigeria. If you look at the companies that are trending in the International Stock Exchange, which are not computer-based companies, purely digital, like Facebook or Google, there are companies in agriculture using digital technology to leverage on agricultural production. If you listen to Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, addressed us the other day on Israeli innovations. He showed us how with drone technology now, you can determine the chemical deficiency of a plant in a farm without a foot on the farm. And you can redress the chemical imbalance by a chemical drone injection without entering the farm. What am I trying to say? Netherlands is the 14th largest economy in the world. It is a territorial area smaller than Niger State of Nigeria. One of the 37 administrative units in Nigeria, if you add the federal capital. But it has 100 billion of food export in a year based on dairy and vegetables. It grows green farms in skyscrapers because of the absence of land. It is the largest exporter of food in the world, larger than the United States of America. Google it, you will find it. The North has this same endowment. So if the idea of reluctance to embrace restructuring is because they want a part of the oil cake, it doesn't make sense. It just shows that we're not prepared to apply our knowledge to our natural resources. Now, the world grows on the basis of diplomacy. Diplomacy is discussion, continuous negotiation. This continuous negotiation has led us to an arrangement of a greater majority of the country belonging to the Southern and the Middle Belt Leadership Forum. What remains is for younger people like you here to exploit this umbrella and develop yourself into a political movement and advance the cause that we represent. I believe you can achieve this cause politically. And if you achieve it, it will give every part of Nigeria its independence in terms of sovereignty of its natural resources, in terms of its security, in terms of development at its own pace. It will also give the larger country, Nigeria, a greater negotiating power. But it is only a first step in diplomacy. When negotiations fail, we will have no choice but to part ways. That will be only a second alternative. And we better do that in peace rather than in war. Because by the time we finish doing it in war, I know that there are a lot of Igbos who are all over West Africa who were taken away because they were kwashiorkor reading children, they were motherless babies, and all the aircrafts that brought us food had to carry them in C-130 planes, and many of them died in transportation because of the steel chambers of those aircrafts. In fact, the president of Gabon today faced a court case that he was not a Gabonese, that he was adopted by the former president of Gabon, and that he's Igbo. But the truth is that he's president of Gabon. But if he's Igbo, we don't even know which part of Igbo land he comes from. There are several Igbos littering across the whole of West Africa today that we cannot reach. I went without food for 3 days during the war. I saw my colleague, a son of a former minister, shot to death by the explosion of a bomb in a trench next to mine. Torn to pieces, and his body was difficult to bring together. The reason why I dramatize this is that I know that we are all very angry. And some of those who have asked questions from London are saying, just tell us what to do and we're prepared to go anywhere you want us to go. But the Yorubas have a word called surulere. In difficult moments like this, leaders have to be extremely diplomatic and tactical. But I do say that, however, if we are pushed to the wall, we will have no choice but to witness a repetition of history. God forbid that it should happen. But what we are doing today brings to the fore the urgency of the moment. As a secondary school student, I went on demonstration in the streets of Enugu wearing a badge, Easterners get ready. As a university student, I went on demonstration in the streets of Lagos, asking Ali to go as minister. I went on demonstration in the streets of Ibadan, asking Gowon to go because he reneged on the promise for 1976 return to civilian rule. What are people of that age doing today? Is any one of them prepared to go to demonstration? You want Chifai Adebonja to come on the street to go to the demonstration? Who do we report to if they harm us on the road? Every generation must take on its historical responsibilities. We must wake up from our backside and take the front burner. Even to go on a suit to represent our views against the federal government, some lawyers, because they are waiting for PECs from the Attorney General's office, are reluctant to be our lawyers. And Yinka Odumaki will tell you how we collect money. We throw in our checks into trays when we go to a meeting. All of you in the diaspora, those of you who are Igbo, how much have you donated to Hanese? How do you expect no motor car built from the best Bavarian motor works can move without fuel? I have never exerted a penny tax from any Igbo man. I see myself having a rendezvous with history. And if the donation of my services and of my life, of my security, is the price I pay for championing the cause of my people, I have no regret. But I have to do it with tact and diplomacy. I have been persistent, and those who are blaming us are probably uninformed. I want to ask you, if you're a journalist, take up your pen. Write. If you're a lawyer, take up suits and champion abrogation of fundamental human rights. Look, our president swore to the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to do no ill, favor, or affection to anyone in a biased manner. But what is happening today? Look at all the security apparatus of Nigeria. They are all headed by people of one religion on one side. Look at the oil, the mainstay of our economy. All the major positions in the National Oil Company, NNPC, are headed by people from one section of the country. I mean, well, look, our vice president looks like a bishop without a cathedral. He has no portfolio. Even the humanitarian affairs that he was dealing with has been given to a woman to take care of. We are like slaves in our own country. But this is the anger that brings out a reorganization of society. But we must step out and speak. Those of you who are living in London, have you taken a walk in the streets of London and demonstrated to our embassy and said, enough of this, we can no longer have this? Have you formed your own Southern and Middle Belt Leadership Forum in London? Have you done so in America? I think the time has come when our